If you're looking at this video, it's mostly because you want to know about hashing or cracking hash. So first question that comes to your mind is, what is hash? So hash is basically a function that converts one value to another. Say it can convert a value A into a value B, but there are certain conditions that is supposed to be met by a hashing function. For example, a good hash function is supposed to be irreversible. So suppose if I can hash the value of A into B, I should not be able to take it back from B to A. So this is one condition that a hash function should hold. But there are certain problems when it comes to hash function. For example, there is a small possibility that if we hash a into b, we can also hash some other value, say x, also into b. So these kind of things in which you get the same hash value for two different texts is called as hash collision. And a good hashing algorithm should have very less collision so that it can be as unique as possible. So why do you use hash will be the next question. It's basically like a fingerprint for a text or a file or anything. You can identify its a thing separately using hash. Why should another question that comes to your mind is, should hashing function be fast? Oh, this is a really tricky question. If you think about it, if a hashing function is fast, then it will be easier to crack it. At the same time, if it's too slow, then it will slow down the whole application. So it should be somewhere in the middle. It should not be either too fast or should not be too slow. So some example of hashing is MD5, which is message digest, and SHA, which is secure hashing algorithm, and CRC, which is cyclic redundancy check. So what is the use of hash? So one most common use of hash is for password verification. The thing is, all websites and things, they don't store your password. So for example, if your password is ABC123, they don't store it as ABC123 in their database. What they do is they hash it and then they store it. So once you do this, even if someone somehow gets access to your account, they won't actually get your password. They'll just get a hash value of your password. But why are storing hashes? It doesn't make a difference if you store a password or a hash, except for in terms of security. What they do is, when you actually log into your account using your password, what they hash it using the same hashing algorithm, and they check the value stored in their database and with the value that you enter right now. So so in this way, you don't have to actually store the password. You have to just calculate the hash on spot and compare it with the hash that's previously stored. So instead of just telling you about hash, let me show you what hash does. For example, I'm going to show you hashing use an MD5 hash. So I'm going to take a really simple text, for example, hello, and I'm going to generate the MD5 hash for it. And this is a hash that is generated for hello. So this five letter word is converted into such a long word. So this is basically a 128-bit hash. For the next question, what you'll be thinking is, if I give a really long text which is more than this 128-bit, then what's gonna happen? Let's check it out. I'm gonna take a really long text and I'm gonna generate the hash for it. Same thing. It just created a different hash, but the length is the same. Now, you'll be thinking, how is it used to check if a file is what it actually is, or if someone modified it or not? For that, let me take a really long text. For example, I'll just copy this text and I'll find the hash value for this. And as you can see, this is a hash value. I'm just going to copy it for future reference. I'm just going to put it over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the same text again and I'm going to paste it over here. Now, instead of finding the hash of this value, I'll make a really small change in this text. So there's a full stop at the end of the text, and I'm just going to remove that one character. I'm going to generate the hash for it. Now there's a different hash generated. Now if you compare this hash with a previously found hash, you can see it's totally different. Just by making a small difference of a period, we are able to create an entirely different hash. This is what makes hash really useful in identifying file or text separately. Now we're going to look how to crash hashes. So we have already said that hash is reversible. So if you find A to B and there's no way to get A back from B, So we have to find a way to crack hashes by not actually reverse engineering it. So one way will be like trying random values. For example, I have a hash over here. I know that this is MD5 hash, but I don't know what did I use. What is hash to this value? So I'll be trying random values. For example, I will try welcome, and I'm gonna hash it and see. Okay, I got the hash value for welcome. Now I'll just compare it with the value that I wanted to check. So it doesn't match. So I'm gonna try with another one. Suppose I'm gonna try with password. I'm gonna hash it, and I can get some other hash value, and I'll check it with the previous value, and it doesn't match. So you'll try it. You'll be repeatedly trying this over and over until you get the right way, right hash. So this is the only way how you can find the hash. The only part of this process that you can be smart about is choosing the text. So if you're cracking passwords, then there are so many common things, common passwords that people use, like it can be ABC123 or password itself, or 012345 or 9876. It can be anything. You can be you should just be a little smart while selecting it and hashing it and comparing it with the previous hashed value. So for this, I'll put ABC123 and I'll hash it, and if you see, this is actually a match. So the password that was encrypted, that was hashed using MD5, was actually ABC123. So we'll be using this logic to crack hashes. Now we have an idea of how to crack hashes. So basically what we do is we guess the password, and then we encrypt it, I mean hash it, and then you'll compare the hash value to the previous hashed value that you're looking for. If it matches, then you got the password. Else you just keep on trying again and again. Now it's not easy for us to guess the passwords directly, so we have to use some kind of data set or predefined set of passwords that you can hash and check and compare the value to. So one such very famous password list is a Rocky password list. So I have it over here, so we'll just have a look at what is inside it. As you can see that these are some passwords formulas. So there's a lot of passwords, a lot of common passwords that people use. So we'll be basically using this password list to crack hashes. Of course, now we have a database. Now we need a tool to crack it. We can't actually copy paste the entire each one of these passwords and then find the MD5 hash of it and then compare it. So we'll be using a tool called Hashcat for it. So before actually using Hashcat, we have to identify what type of hashing algorithm is used to hash it. So for example, I have three hashed text over here. Now I don't know what type of hashing algorithm is used. So for this we need another tool. So what we'll be using is hash identifier. Sorry. And what hash identifier expects as an input is the hashed value. So I'll just copy one of these hashes and I'm going to paste it over here. And what it does is it tells what is the possible hash. So in this case, it tells that it's an MD5 hash. So we'll be working in the assumption that this is an MD5 hash. If we we'll just have a look at what Hashcat expects from us. So one thing that Hashcat wants from us is the thing that we just found. That is what type of hashing algorithm is used. This is called a hash mode in Hashcat, and its code is 0. So we'll be using this value of 0 to crack the hash. So what we'll do is we'll be using hashcat, and then we'll specify the mode as 0, and then we'll be giving this list of hashed values as the input. So this is md5 hash.txt, and I'll be outputting it into a file. So I can give any file I want. I'll be storing it in a file called crackhash.txt. And now what we have to do is you have to give the word list. So in our case, as I said, we'll be using Rocky word list. So I'm just going to put that in. And now you can try hashing it. So yeah, because I'm using a virtual machine, it with a very low specification, I have to actually force it to run. What it does is it shows all hashes found in pot file. So now we'll be wondering what is pot file. The thing is, every time you run hashcat and it cracks a hash, it'll store it somewhere in a pot file, so that you don't have to calculate the same hash. You don't have to find the same hash again and again. So if you want to see the value, even if it's there in pot file, you can just use show, and it doesn't work. So what you can do now is you can actually disable pot file by using pot file disable. Once you do that, it's running, and it says that all the three passwords are recovered. Now, if you want to have a look at it, you can just we know that it's stored in we stored all these hash values in cracked hash.txt file. So I'm just gonna look into cracked hash.txt, and you can see that it found the password. All the three. The first hash is password, and the second is QWERTY, and the third one is ABCD. Now, that's basically how you crack hashes in Hashcat. Now we'll be looking at another example of cracking hashes. So I have a hash text over here, and I have absolutely no idea what this is, what type of algorithm is used to hash it. So like last time, what we'll do is we'll be using hash identifier to find out what type of hashing algorithm is used, and it says it's SHA-224. And so since we know that, now we can use hashcat to find the password, the actual text. So be using mode. So I know the mode for SHA-224 224 is 1300, and the text is stored in a file called hash. And I'll be using again RockU itself, RockU wordless to find it out, and I have to force it, and I'll also show. So since I did it before, I have to use show, otherwise it will just tell that it's already stored in pot file, and it actually cracks the hash, and the value is King Kong. Now we have seen how to crack hashes. Another tool that you can use to crack hashes is John. So instead of actually copy pasting the hash value and then cracking it, we'll actually try cracking the password of the Linux system that I'm using. So first you have to locate the password file. So what you can do is you can actually try locate, and the file is called shadow. So I'll just try locating shadow, and there's a lot of shadows. So okay, this is what we need, slash etc slash shadow. So I'll just have a look at what is inside it. We know the location, and I'm just gonna give that. I'm gonna see what is inside this. As you can see, this is actually the list of users, and this is my root user, and this is the hash password. And there are a couple of other things. So this is basically the day since I changed my password, and this is the number of days that I have to wait once I change the password, and this is the number of days after which I have to change the password, and so on. So you can see this six, it is between dollars. So what the six means is the password level. So password level 6 actually means it's using a SHA-512 encryption hashing. So this is a pretty good hashing algorithm, but it's actually depends on how easily how common your password is. So if my password is password, then it'll be really easy for any doesn't matter which algorithm you use, it'll be easy to crack because it's a pretty common password. Or same thing goes to ABC123 or one something like that. So now we'll be using John to crack the password. So what you can the command basically is quite simple. You can give John, and then the shadow file, just stored in etc dash shadow. uh, so I have to show it, and it says the password for root user is Sky, and that's pretty much it. That's how simple it is to crack the password of a Linux system using John. So for this you actually need the root privileges. If you don't have the root privileges, you can use some other hack to do it. And thank you for watching. That's pretty much it.